been just over a week since Donald Trump won the U.S. presidential election, and he's been moving quickly these past few days to pick his new cabinet, adding some controversial names to the mix. His choices for top cabinet positions have sparked questions even within his party. Our latest picks include 3 of the lawyers from his criminal trials to take on top jobs at the Justice Department, as well as environmental lawyer and vaccine skeptic Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Health Secretary. Tulsi Gabbard has been named to head national intelligence and take charge of the nation's sensitive secrets. That's despite being known for repeatedly echoing Russia's position on its invasion of Ukraine. Also raising eyebrows, Mr. Trump's nomination of Matt Gaetz as the next Attorney General. Mr. Gaetz is the subject on an ongoing ethics investigation at the U.S. House of Representatives into allegations of sexual misconduct, illicit drug use, and the misuse of campaign funds.
Loudly criticizing the Justice Department.
And for more, we're joined by Simon Marks live from Washington, D.C. Simon, we've seen those, just a quick sum up of those choices there. Some are not surprising, given what Mr. Trump had indicated of his inclinations on policy, and some rather more surprising.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right, though, Wei Su. Broadly, I mean, while it has been a week of stunning images here in the United States, the substance of it is not surprising because Donald Trump generally is doing what he told American voters that he was going to do, introduce the United States to a purist Make America Great Again government. I mean, the imagery of the week, I suppose, was dominated by pictures that many here in Washington and around the United States thought they would never see. The images of Donald Trump returning to the White House for that coffee meeting with President Biden, Donald Trump in the capacity as president-elect, preparing to move back into the Oval Office on January the 20th next year. But also on the substance of the week, it has been in many ways a week of whiplash, as we've all struggled to keep up with the various news of appointments tumbling out of Trump transition headquarters in Mar-a-Lago, and also wondered how Donald Trump is going to get some of these more controversial figures, especially Matt Gaetz, his pick for the role of Attorney General. How's he going to steer him through the confirmation process in the Senate that under normal circumstances is necessary for any cabinet appointee? Is Donald Trump even going to try, or is he going to pressure Republicans in the Senate to prove their loyalty to him by allowing him to engage in recess appointments that would allow some of these figures to take up their roles without confirmation on a temporary basis, except temporary could mean for the next 2 years? That's the next drama here. Are Republicans in the Senate going to back him, or are they going to test him by trying to force some of these figures to come before them for confirmation hearings? Also, in the last 24 hours, certainly raising some eyebrows is the choice for Health Secretary. That's a former presidential rival to Mr. Trump. That's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. What are some concerns, given that this vaccine skeptic is going to be in charge of America's public health? Well, certainly sufficient concerns that vaccine share prices took a battering in the immediate hours after Donald Trump announced that he was turning to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be the next Secretary of Health and Human Services. Remember that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. ran for the presidency initially as a Democrat. Then he launched a third-party bid for the White House, and then he dropped out of the race in August and endorsed Donald Trump. Just a matter of days ago, senior figures in Trump world were insisting that there were no circumstances under which Robert F. Kennedy would get the nod for Health and Human Services, but got it he now has, and clearly within the public health community there is concern about precisely what he's proposing to do. He's not just a skeptic about vaccines. He says he wants to remove fluoride from the nation's water supplies. He's even intimated that fluoride in the water is one of the pollutants that may be influencing the behaviors of young people, including even resulting in some young people deciding that they are gay. So these are enormously controversial viewpoints that Robert F. Kennedy holds. He will be in charge of the nation's public health, and it is pretty clear that he's going to try, at least, to implement sweeping changes. But he'll have the whole of that bureaucracy of America's public health system to try and combat, and that's going to be a real tussle for him.
Our sweeping changes as well are possible, given that Mr. Trump this time, we have spoken on this several times, he has a governing trifecta, so not just winning the presidency, but a majority for the Republicans in both the Senate as well as the House of Representatives. But he had this as well in 2016. Were there checks and balances then that we might look to see again this time that he has won in 2024?
I think there is no question that that is the big question of the next few weeks and months. Are the checks and balances here, constitutionally laid out, as many of them are, going to hold, and are they going to constrain President-elect Trump in his desire to be a strongman, an authoritarian in the US presidency? He's been very clear that that is his aim, and he's now surrounding himself only with loyalists of his Make America Great Again, America First viewpoints as he puts his government together. So the overriding question here, I think, is a focus on that situation on Capitol Hill. He's got a working majority in the Senate, a narrow majority in the House of Representatives. But are there going to be Republicans who line up and challenge him? And we're going to know that very soon, particularly over the appointments to his government. And it will be interesting to see, given that the majority in the House of Representatives is only going to be 2 or 3 seats. And many Republicans there have proven over the last 4 years that they're perfectly willing to be recalcitrant when they feel like it. How many of them are going to decide that they want to challenge some of the things that the White House is planning to do? So he'll be able to get a lot done, but he's not going to be able to get everything done.
Oh, thanks. Simon Marks reporting live there from Washington, D.C. after about 10 days since that win by President-elect Donald Trump at elections.